I wanted to make a follow-up video for my last video where I talked about becoming a dual citizen of both the United States and of Mexico. I'm officially a dual citizen, and if you want to follow along in my journey towards getting this dual citizenship, I'm going to be linking that video here so you can go watch it. I want to thank the thousands of people who've watched this video and who are interested in this journey that I've been on. And so I thought I'd make this follow-up video because I've taken another step in my process and I wanted to share it with you all in case it is of interest for you. I recently went and obtained my INE card. Your INE card is also known as your Credencial para Votar or your voting credential. It is kind of like an ID, like a driver's license, except it is used for voting purposes only. One of the main reasons I wanted to get my INE is because I don't always want to be walking around with my Mexican passport. And on top of that, I want to open up a Mexican bank account, and almost all of them require an INE. And if you're someone who is considering spending more time in Mexico or starting to transition into Mexico, I highly recommend that you also obtain your INE. It is free. It is not that difficult to get, but there are some steps that you need to take in order to get it. So I wanted just to go over what that process was like with you all. In case you have any questions, I want to invite you to continue to comment. Let me know what your questions are. Have you gotten your INE? And also, have you opened up a Mexican bank account? Who do you recommend I go with as someone who lives in the US and also wants to spend time in Mexico as well? Let me know what bank accounts you recommend. Okay, so to start, I want to mention that in a similar way, like many of the processes at the Mexican consulate, you need to call or use WhatsApp or use the online platform to get an appointment. This is your first hurdle. I've shared a lot about the difficulties that you can run across in getting an appointment. First off, you have to make sure that you're getting the appointment on the right day. They offer appointments on Mondays and Wednesdays, and you want to go and get a registro civil appointment. This is a civil registry appointment. This is where you can get your INE, and I do believe they release those on Wednesdays, so make sure that on Wednesday you're double checking. They will appear periodically on their website. As I've shared before, make sure you keep refreshing, make sure you keep engaging the website. If you're trying to get it through the website, they will sometimes just appear after you refresh and try again and again. Do not get logged out. This is something I mentioned before, that if you get logged out from the process online, it might flag you as suspicious, and then all of a sudden you won't be able to get back on the website for at least another day or so, which means that you have to wait another week to get your appointment. Now, if you are struggling to get your appointment, I know this happens to a lot of people that they just can never find one. There is a way that you can pay. I think it's like 20 something dollars by going to DN Express, and they will set you up with an appointment to get your INE. Again, try to get it by yourself because this process is completely free. Well, not fully, and I will share a little bit something that happened to me in my process. So when I got my appointment, I was ready on that day. I made sure to bring my driver's license. I brought both my Mexican and my United States passport with me. I also brought my birth certificate, and I decided to bring copies of my parents' Mexican birth certificates as well. So I got there. It was pretty straightforward. I sat in an area that was for people getting their INE. I will say that I had to sit and wait for about an hour to an hour and a half. Things are moving pretty slowly. At some point, there was a person who was doing actas de nacimiento or birth certificates that actually took over to help the person doing INE because there were so many people waiting to get their INE cards that they needed some more support. And I ended up actually working with this person who does actas de nacimiento. And when she started looking through my paperwork, she let me know that I needed to have an original copy of my parents' birth certificate. That was the only only thing I was missing. I just want to mention that here in this video. If you're going to the Mexican consulate in Los Angeles to get your INE, make sure you bring an original copy of your parents' birth certificate. It has to just be one of their birth certificates. So just, make sure you bring an original because they will be asking you for that. I did not have one. I was pretty upset because I didn't know about that. And thankfully, the person decided to do a workaround with me, which I found a little interesting and funny. They told me to go upstairs, pay $19, and they would issue me my mom's original birth certificate. And so I now have a copy of my mom's original birth certificate that was given to me without my mom's consent or permission at the Mexican consulate in Los Angeles. And I find this really interesting because, as I've shared in my last video, they can be such sticklers at the Mexican consulate. They will deny you if a letter is wrong, if things are placed in the wrong place. There's such sticklers, but then for, this moment, they were willing to give me someone else's birth certificate without that person even being there or without that person consenting. So I'm just mentioning that as something interesting, funny, a little weird, a little different than what I'm used to. But I was super grateful to this person for working with me and for helping me actually get this process moving forward instead of having to reschedule myself again, go get my mom's birth certificate and come back again and, essentially waste a full other day doing this process. So once they get all your information, they get your fingerprints, they also take your photo, and they make sure that all your information is correct. I did forget to mention that I also brought a power bill from my house in Los Angeles to prove my US address was correct. They ended up printing my US address on my INE card, and my INE card was also sent to me via mail. So you don't get it there the same day that you apply for it. You submit your application and it comes in the mail. I think it took for me about 3 weeks to get my INE card in the mail. So overall, it was not a difficult process, definitely not as difficult as getting my Mexican citizenship and my passport. This was definitely a lot easier, but of course there are a lot of places where you can get stuck. And so I wanted just to make this video to share a few tidbits about my own experience to hopefully help you navigate this a little quicker. Now that I have my INE, I'm very excited to open up a Mexican bank account, and I'm also very excited to see what other resources or spaces I can access with my INE card. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you have any suggestions in terms of what bank I should use that would help me as someone who is both a US and Mexican citizen, what do you use? What do you recommend? I've been looking at BBVA or BBVA. I've also been looking at a Mexican governmental bank that I think it's called Fine Bien, and I'm interested in both of those. I also saw someone who it's like a crypto app that lets you trade your US money for Mexican pesos, and it's all held in USDC coin. I don't know too much about that one, but I have heard some people recommend it. I've also heard some people say that it's not good. So again, let me know if you have any recommendations. Let's help each other out. And again, I wish you all the best on your journey in getting your dual citizenship and also setting yourself up to transition into having a life beyond border. And one last thing I want to mention, si hablas español, tengo otro canal que estoy empezando que se llama Entre Mundos con Edgar Fabián Frías, y me gustaría hablar ahí sobre temas de arte, de magia, de viaje y también de comida vegana. Me gustaría conocer a más personas que hablan español y por eso empecé mi nuevo canal. Solo voy a poner en la descripción si lo quieres ver. If you want to see my other channel, Entre Mundos, I'm going to be putting that description in the link. I want to invite you to go follow me there. Go leave me a comment. Let's get to know each other better. Muchísimas gracias por ver este video y nos vemos muy pronto, México.